imagine stepping out your front door right now and just, walking 500 kilometers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no thank you.
Right. Just flat, continuous pavement. I mean, even in the best conditions, your feet would be absolutely covered in brutal blisters.
Oh, your knees would be screaming.
Exactly. You'd just be in this state of utter, bone-deep exhaustion.
Yeah, I mean, anybody would.
But now, okay, imagine feeling that exact same level of total physical devastation. But you look at a map and you realize you've only actually walked 100 kilometers.
Wait, really? Just 100?
Just 100. But the catch is that those 100 kilometers were straight up.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, carving through these really treacherous, thin air peaks of the Himalayas.
Oh, man. That completely shatters your internal pedometer,
It really does.
because your body is doing the biological math of this massive cross-country trek, but the geography insists that you've barely crossed a single mountain range.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the sheer verticality and the lack of oxygen, it just warps time and distance entirely.
And that profound disorientation is exactly the journey we are taking you on today.
It's a wild one.
It really is.
Mm.
So we're diving into this firsthand account of one of the most intense, demanding pilgrimage circuits in all of India.
Yeah, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Not at all. We are talking about a continuous, grueling gauntlet covering Amarnath, Vaishno Devi, Shivkori, and Kirbawani.
Which, just to be totally clear, is a staggering physical undertaking for even a seasoned mountaineer, let alone, a civilian traveler.
Right. But the mission of our deep dive today, it isn't just to read off a travel itinerary or, like, a list of hiking trails.
No, we're looking at something much deeper.
Exactly. We are exploring a fascinating collision here. We're looking at how rigid modern logistics slam into ancient mythology.
And how pushing the absolute limits of human endurance doesn't just break the body, it actually rewires the human mind.
Yes. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the
Yeah.
journey of this magnitude, it doesn't actually start when you take your first heroic step onto the mountain.
Right, I wish it did.
Yeah, it starts months earlier, in the most unspiritual, soul-crushing place imaginable.
Let me guess. The fluorescent lit hallways of a government hospital bureaucracy.
You guessed it. I mean, the source material details this wildly frustrating preparation phase.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, the traveler in our account, they spent 7 to 8 months just planning the logistics.
7 to 8 months just to plan.
Just to plan. And the biggest hurdle, getting the medical clearance for the Amarnath Yatra.
Oh, right, because of the altitude.
Exactly. But it has to be done 3 full months in advance. And you can't just, pop over to your family doctor and get a quick signature.
Of course not. That would be too easy.
Way too easy. It has to be conducted at specific government-selected hospitals. So
Sure.
our pilgrim goes to the Howrah District Hospital first.
Okay.
Rejected.
Wait, why?
They told him they were too busy with election duties.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me. That is incredibly disheartening when you're trying to prepare for a spiritual awakening.
Right? It's like trying to achieve nirvana, but first you have to spend 3 days at the DMV.
That is the perfect analogy.
So after Howrah, the pilgrim goes to Chinsura Hospital. He even pleaded directly with the superintendent there. Rejected again.
Man, that is rough.
It finally took 3 full days of traveling to a hospital near Uluberia just to get the medical sign-off.
3 days just for the paperwork.
Yep. And even then, after the medical clearance, there is this whole individual registration process. Group registrations are strictly forbidden.
Wow, they really make you jump through hoops.
They really do. And to top it all off, the moment you land at the railway station in Jammu, you have to immediately secure an RFID tracking card.
An RFID card, like to track your movements.
Yes. Before you are even allowed to step foot inside the Gauri Nagar base camp,
Yeah.
you have to be tagged.
That is wild.
Honestly, I look at all this and I see, like, maximum security airport screening mixed with a really complicated international visa application.
Yeah, it's super bureaucratic.
I mean, where is the spirituality in filling out forms and being tracked by a microchip?
Well, what's fascinating here is the stark contrast between this hyper-managed, state-run modern reality and the historical origins of this exact same pilgrimage.
Right, because it wasn't always like this.
Not at all. The sources highlight a perfect counterexample that puts this all into perspective.
Oh, do tell.
So over 100 years ago, the famous spiritual leader Swami Vivekananda was staying at a Mughal garden in a place called Aqabal, which is near Srinagar.
Okay, beautiful spot.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
He was simply sitting in this beautiful garden, and he made a sudden, completely spontaneous decision. He essentially just said, I am going to Amarnath.
Let me guess, he didn't have to wait 3 days in New Liberia for a doctor's note.
He didn't even have a tent.
Wow.
Yeah, no RFID card, no medical checks, no pre-registration, no designated base camps with security
He's
perimeters.
straight up the mountain.
He just walked out of the garden and into the mountains. I mean, the concept of this pilgrimage has shifted entirely from a spontaneous, incredibly dangerous wandering into this massive, heavily managed logistical operation.
Which is a bit sad, in a way.
It is, but we have to look at why that happened. The government isn't just trying to be difficult, you know?
True, true.
The altitude and the unpredictable Himalayan weather, they literally claim lives every year.
Mm.
So the bureaucracy is basically a modern safety net.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yet the spiritual pull, that deeply rooted human desire to see the ice stalagmite, the natural manifestation of Shiva, it remains exactly the same.
He hasn't changed a bit.
Exactly. The bureaucracy hasn't diluted the desire. It's just the modern toll you have to pay to get to the starting line.
I suppose it makes sense. I mean, the modern world demands a paper trail to keep you from freezing to death.
Pretty much.
But once you clear that red tape and actually hit the trail, the modern world falls away pretty fast.
Oh, instantly.
The transition is totally jarring. You take a convoy from Jammu to Pahalgam, then a taxi up to Chandanwari, and suddenly it's 3 a.m.
Oh, a brutal time to start.
It's pitch black, it's freezing, and the walking begins. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
The physical map of the Amarnath route isn't just a topographical guide. The geography itself acts as a literal storybook.
Yeah, it's a geographical metaphor for shedding the ego, built right into the names of the town.
Exactly. The whole legend of Amarnath revolves around Lord Shiva taking his wife, Parvati, to this highly specific remote cave to tell her the secret of immortality.
The Amarkasa.
Yes, the Amarkatha. But to make absolutely sure that no one else, not even divine beings, overheard this secret, he had to leave all of his earthly and divine attachments behind as he walked up the mountain.
Right, stripping it all away.
And the locations along the route are named after exactly what he dropped at each stage.
So you begin the trek at Pahalgam.
Right, which translates to Belgaum, the village of the bull.
Oh.
This is where Shiva left behind his most loyal companion, Nandi, the divine bull. He's shedding his primary mode of transport and his protector,
Then you move up the incline to Chandanwari.
where he took the crescent moon out of his hair and left it behind,
Wow.
literally stripping away his divine adornment.
Wow. And then you climb even higher to Sheshnag.
Named for the legendary cosmic serpent. He actually took the snake from around his neck and abandoned it there.
That is so symbolic.
It really is. Then you reach Maha Ganesh Top, officially known as MG Top, which is this brutal, steep, high-altitude pass.
And let me guess, based on the name.
Yep. Here, he actually left his own son, Ganesha, behind. He's severing familial ties.
Wow, that's heavy.
And finally, right before you reach the cave, you arrive at a place called Pantarni.
And this is arguably the most profound stop on the entire map, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Because Pantarni refers to the Panchatattva, the 5 fundamental elements of life in Hindu philosophy: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Shiva leaves the very building blocks of the physical universe behind before entering the cave.
Wait, I love the poetry of this, but let's think about what the pilgrim is actually experiencing at Pantarni.
Oh, it's a completely different reality.
Yeah, the traveler isn't just meditating on leaving the elements behind. The mountain is literally taking them away by force.
Exactly.
You are at 12 or 13,000 feet.
Yeah.
You are gasping for air. You are freezing, so your body is desperately craving fire.
Yeah, you're chilled to the bone.
You are likely dehydrated, needing water. And the rocky, icy earth beneath your feet feels entirely hostile. It's like a geographical sensory deprivation tank.
That is exactly the mechanism at play. You are physically walking up a mountain, but physiologically and mythologically, you are being stripped of your layers of identity and comfort.
It's intense.
And that mechanism is intensely relevant to you, the listener, even if you never set foot anywhere near Kashmir. Well, when you embark on any massive undertaking in your own life, whether it's starting a new business from scratch, writing a novel, or recovering from a severe illness, you inevitably have to strip away your comforts.
Oh, I see.
You have to leave behind your preconceived notions of who you are and what you require to survive. Reaching your own personal cave, your ultimate transformational goal, it almost always requires leaving your everyday 5 elements behind.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, you just cannot achieve total transformation while clinging to your heavy baggage.
And the mountain is completely indifferent to whether you want to drop that baggage or not.
It doesn't care about your spiritual intentions at all.
Exactly. Which brings us to a terrifying moment in our source material. Because shedding metaphorical attachments is great in theory, but the physical reality of the altitude is an absolute nightmare.
It just hits you like a wall.
It really does. Our traveler experiences a massive crisis right at that high pass we mentioned, Mahaganesh Top.
Oh, MG top.
Yeah. The air is terribly thin, and the pilgrim suddenly feels his breath failing. He genuinely believes his respiratory system is shutting down, and he is not going to make it.
That is terrifying.
In a total panic, he drags himself into one of the medical tents along the route.
Okay, good. So he gets help.
Well, the staff checks his vitals, they look at the monitors, and they tell him, your oxygen is actually fine. It's reading at 92, which is excellent for this altitude.
Wait, really? 92 is great.
But the biological panic is already setting in. He's deeply nauseous, he's falling far behind his trekking group, he's weighed down by heavy winter clothes, thermal layers, and heavy trekking boots. He is mentally and physically defeated.
Because the physical data on the monitor says he's perfectly fine, but the brain is sending these overwhelming distress signals, essentially shutting down the entire operation.
And I find that fascinating. Why does the brain panic and create the sensation of suffocating when the blood oxygen is objectively fine?
It's a survival mechanism going into overdrive.
Right. But before he can spiral completely, in that exact moment of despair, he is passed on the steep trail by a sannyasi.
An ascetic monk.
Yes. And this monk is wearing almost nothing. Just light cotton clothes, carrying a simple shoulder bag.
In that freezing weather.
And get this, he is walking barefoot on freezing, jagged mountain rocks.
Which, if we are looking at this clinically, is incredibly medically dangerous.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I get the spiritual devotion, I really do. But medically speaking, walking barefoot on freezing, sharp rocks isn't just a testament to faith. It's a recipe for severe frostbite, permanent nerve damage, and severe lacerations.
Oh, absolutely.
So is this actual enlightenment, or is this just reckless groupthink happening at 12,000 feet?
Well, it's a valid question, but it kind of misses the psychological impact of the encounter.
What do you mean?
The monk isn't asking the pilgrim to take off his boots. The monk is serving as a living disruption to the pilgrim's internal panic narrative.
Ah, I see. And a disruption it certainly was. Our pilgrim, feeling a sudden surge of inspiration, or maybe just sheer shock at this guy's bare feet, offers the monk some pain relief spray, some Volini, which he had in his pack.
Oh, that's nice of him.
The monk calmly takes it, sprays it on his own bare feet, pats our heavily geared up pilgrim on the back, and says a single, simple phrase.
What does he say?
Not your will, Shiva's will.
Oh.
And then he just vanishes up the incredible steep trail, moving with complete ease.
That simple phrase completely reorients the traveler's perspective. It shifts the burden of the climb from the individual's struggling ego to a surrendered larger force.
And it visibly works. Suddenly, the pilgrim's overwhelming weakness evaporates.
Just like that.
Just like that. But the psychological phenomena, they don't stop there.
Mm.
Later on, during the descent via the Baltal route, the physical punishment dials right back up again.
Descending is often harder on the body than climbing.
Oh, totally. The Baltal route is described as impossibly steep. It's so steep that the pilgrim's toes are continuously jamming into the front of his heavy boobs with every single downward step, to the point where his toenails are literally bleeding.
Oh, that is agonizing.
He hits another massive wall of pain. But then, looking up the trail, he sees a physically disabled pilgrim climbing up that exact same impossible incline, using their bare hands to drag their body forward over the rocks.
Oh, goodness.
And the pilgrim notes that the second he saw that, his own excruciating foot pain just completely vanished.
It just went away.
Yeah. So I need you to explain this to me. Is this just a sudden adrenaline rush from being inspired? Or does seeing someone else endure a vastly worse hardship actually change our biological capacity to feel pain?
It is deeply biological, actually. It's rooted in how the brain processes threat.
Okay, break it down for me.
Pain isn't just a direct signal from your toe to your brain. It's a subjective experience regulated by the central nervous system. Have you ever heard of the gate control theory of pain?
I've heard the term, but break it down for me in the context of the mountain.
Essentially, your spinal cord contains neurological gates that either block pain signals or allow them to travel to the brain.
Okay, I'm with you.
When the pilgrim was hyper-focused on his bleeding toes, those gates were wide open. But the brain also factors in cognitive and emotional input. Witnessing pure endurance, like the disabled climber or the barefoot monk, triggers a massive emotional shift.
Like a shock to the system.
Exactly. It induces something akin to social buffering. The brain releases endogenous opioids, your natural endorphins and oxytocin.
Oh, wow.
And these neurochemicals physically close the gates in the spinal cord.
So the pain signals from the bleeding toes are literally being blocked from reaching the brain's conscious awareness.
Precisely. The internal narrative shifts from a high threat, I cannot survive this damage, to a low threat, look at what the human body is actually capable of surviving.
That is incredible.
And when you connect this to the bigger picture, it demonstrates exactly how shared purpose and community can carry people incredibly far past their baseline biological limits.
You'd think a mountain this brutal would isolate you, just driving you entirely inward to deal with the pain.
You really would.
But the strangest thing happens when you're at your absolute lowest on this trek. The environment actually rallies to keep you alive.
Which perfectly transitions into the langurs.
Yes, the langurs.
Yeah.
The massive community kitchens set up along the route.
They are just incredible.
The source account simply cannot praise these langurs enough. In the middle of this freezing, treacherous, inhospitable environment, various organizations haul up supplies and set up these enormous free kitchens.
Right there on the mountain.
Right there. And we aren't talking about handing out dry survival rations or, like, granola bars. The Pilgrim describes it as completely surpassing five-star hotel hospitality.
5 stars on a frozen mountain.
Seriously, it's spotlessly clean. And the sensory contrast is just wild. Imagine you are freezing to death, the wind is howling, and someone hands you fresh fruit juices, steaming hot idly, crisp doses, full, elaborate meals.
Oh, that sounds heavenly.
You can eat whatever you want, as much as you want, completely free of charge. All served with this intense warmth and respect.
It's a practice of radical hospitality. And neurologically, tying back to what we just discussed, it reinforces that you aren't doing this alone.
Exactly.
The geography of the mountain is actively trying to break you down, but the community is stationed right there in the freezing wind to physically and spiritually build you back up. It provides the literal calories and the social oxytocin required to keep those gates of pain closed.
It's a beautiful, essential balance. But here is where the story takes a turn that genuinely baffled me.
Oh, what happened?
Having survived Amarnath, having shed the ego, having panicked about oxygen, and having literally bled through his boots, you would think the traveler would go home, order takeout, and sleep for a solid week.
That would be the logical, medically advisable next step.
But no. Instead, the journey accelerates.
Accelerates.
Yeah, the pace becomes almost relentless, and the experiences start bleeding away from pure physical endurance and into mystical territory.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
First, there's a detour through Sonamarg and Srinagar to visit the ancient temple of Madhukir Bhawani.
Which is built around a very unique geographical feature.
Right. The temple is built directly over a natural spring, and the water in this spring is famous because it actually changes color.
Really? Like naturally changes color?
Naturally. The pilgrim in our source sat by the spring and watched the water shift between shades of pink and white.
Wow.
And local Kashmiri legend dictates that the water acts as an omen. If danger or disaster is looming for the village or the region, the spring water will turn a deep, murky black.
That is wild.
It's an ancient environmental warning system completely intertwined with the divine.
It's a fascinating atmospheric phenomenon, but it also beautifully mirrors the traveler's own internal state at this point in the journey. Constantly shifting, highly sensitive to the environment, completely unpredictable.
Shifting and absolutely refusing to stop moving.
Right.
From the mystical spring at Kir Bhawani, the pilgrim takes the Vandifart high-speed train to Katra to tackle the Vaishno Devi trek.
So from ancient trails to a bullet train.
And the juxtaposition here is hilarious to me. You just spent days surviving an ancient, freezing mountain path, bleeding from the toes, and now you are sitting in an air-conditioned, hyper-modern bullet train hurtling toward your next mountain.
It's such a wild crash of eras.
It really is. But the timeline they keep is just insane. They arrive and start the Vaishno Devi trek at 6:00 p.m.
In the evening?
Yes. They are carrying their own luggage up the mountain, no porters, no rented ponies. They hike through the pitch-black evening and finally reach the main shrine at 1:00 a.m.
Exhausted, surely, beyond any normal measure.
You would have to be. But then, while at the shrine at 1:00 a.m., the pilgrim realizes that there is another higher shrine, Bharavnath.
Oh, boy.
A lot of people skip it because the climb is incredibly steep, the air is cold, and they are just too tired after the main trek.
Understandable.
But our pilgrim, operating on practically zero sleep and battered legs, just thinks, I'm already here.
You're kidding.
I'm not. So at 3 a.m. in the dead of night, they start climbing even higher.
That is just relentless.
They finally return to the base at 9:30 in the morning. They rest for just a few hours. And the very next day, they go hike another 10 kilometers to see the cave at Shivkori.
The sheer physical output, the raw caloric burn and muscle endurance is astonishing.
So what does this all mean? I keep looking at this gauntlet, roughly 100 kilometers of the steepest, most unforgiving mountain climbing possible, crammed into just a handful of days.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
I look at this and I think, well, why not just take the helicopter?
Right.
Because the sources explicitly mention that helicopter services exist for these routes. Modern humans are obsessed with buying our way out of discomfort. We invent apps so we don't have to walk to the grocery store.
True.
Why intentionally choose to bleed through your boots? Why put the human body through this relentless voluntary punishment?
Because it isn't a vacation, you know?
Yeah.
It is a highly intentional stress test of the human spirit.
Stress test. I like that.
The pilgrim specifically notes in the account that you don't come back from a circuit like this empty-handed. You bring back an experience that becomes, in their words, a lifelong asset.
A lifelong asset. Wow.
By pushing the body to the absolute breaking point and then consciously choosing to push past it at 3 a.m., you shatter your previous limitations.
You really do.
The changing colors of the spring at Kirpawani, they aren't just local folklore, they represent the changing state of the traveler.
Oh, that's a great connection.
You go from feeling completely depleted and panicked at the base of MG Top to being energized by a barefoot monk, to being utterly exhausted at 1 a.m., to suddenly finding a hidden reserve of strength to climb higher at 3 a.m.
It's a roller coaster.
You are tapping into a massive reservoir of energy that you didn't even know you possessed until the mountain demanded it from you.
It really is a complete systematic breakdown and rebuild of the self. I mean, we started this deep dive, mired in bureaucratic headaches, the rejected medical forms in Hara, the RFID tracking cards, the DMV-style waiting that tests your patience before you ever see a mountain.
All that red tape.
Yeah. Then we followed the traveler up the steep inclines, leaving pieces of the ego behind at every named town, mirroring Shiva leaving the moon and the snake.
The shedding of attachments.
We saw the physical crisis, where the brain panicked despite healthy oxygen levels, the bloody toes on the descent, and the mind-bending realization that pain is entirely relative when you see someone climbing with their bare hands.
And it all culminates in a profound sense of satisfaction, a deep fulfillment that the pilgrim describes as making the human vessel, the human life, feel entirely purposeful.
And the beauty of this account is that you don't have to walk 100 kilometers in the Himalayas to use this framework.
Oh, definitely not.
The architecture of this journey applies to whatever massive life goal you are currently facing. There's always the frustrating, unglamorous preparation phase that feels like it takes forever.
Right, the waiting rooms of life.
There is the absolute necessity of shedding your old baggage and comforts before you can ascend to the next level. You will hit that inevitable wall where you feel like you can't breathe and you want to quit.
We all hit that wall.
And ultimately, you have to find inspiration outside of yourself to close the gates of pain and push through.
This raises an important question, though, echoing your thoughts on the helicopters earlier.
Okay, let's hear it.
We live in an era of supreme, frictionless convenience. We can fly almost anywhere. We can use helicopters to bypass treacherous terrain, though interestingly, they were grounded due to bad weather during our traveler's trip, forcing the walk.
Talk about a forced perspective.
Right. We are conditioned from birth to buy our way out of discomfort. But looking deeply at this journey, we have to ask, is the actual struggle the very thing that gives the experience its value?
That is the ultimate question.
If you remove the thin air, the freezing cold winds, the bleeding toes, and the sheer mind-numbing exhaustion, if you could just step onto a teleporter and instantly appear inside the sacred cave, would the destination still feel sacred? Or is it the shedding of the ego, step by agonizing step, that actually makes the arrival meaningful?
It brings us right back to where we started. Walking 500 kilometers on a perfectly flat paved road might wear out your shoes, but walking 100 kilometers straight up into the mountains,
That changes everything.
that rewires your soul. It's the friction that creates the spark. Keep that in mind the next time you find yourself staring at an impossibly steep climb in your own life. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.